Good morning, guys. So this is Roddy again, and as usual, I'm going to be practicing my English. And my topic for today is, I think, a little bit controversial, but nevertheless, there is no hate in this talk because I don't like talking with some sort of hate unless perhaps there are rational, there are moral reasons to do so. Okay, because you could certainly hate. You could certainly dislike something, or maybe feel disgust towards something without any moral justification, right? So there is no hate in this video, no hate, okay? But then, I'm just going to speak from the heart, okay? And experiences, okay? And I'm not saying that one choice or one disposition in life is certainly better than any other. I'm not saying that, okay? You think for yourself. All right, so let's start. So just before I truly start, if you will, let me tell you a little bit of a story that took place more than a decade ago. So it was in 2013. I was 23, and I was in university, and it was around 12 noon, and I was about to have my lunch, and for some reason, something weird happened. Like, I was just having my lunch, and then suddenly, a friendly lady, sat by the table where I was having my lunch, right? And it was fine, I didn't mind it. She said hello, I said hello, and that was it, right? And then she just started, small talks, if you will, to which I responded politely. Okay, it was fun. Okay, it was fun, no problem at all. But then she suddenly started questioning what you might call my choice, like my personal choice, like out of the blue. I don't know why. All right, and you picture the scene. I was having my lunch. We were just having small talks about university life, okay, and maybe current affairs in our university. And then, for some reason, that lady asked me this question: why don't you have a girlfriend? Like, why are you single? And I could tell you, for a second or two, I felt dumbstruck, because that question, to me, while it made sense linguistically, I knew what single meant. I knew, I understood the question why, but at the same time, it didn't make sense to me, because I don't know why anyone would question why anyone was single, or why they were not in a, any kind of romantic relationship, or why they were not pursuing anyone. to have a romantic relationship with them. I found it really odd, and I was shocked. And so I just answered in the way that I knew. Like, for some reason, I just knew that was my answer. So what was my answer? I simply said, like, I'm in my, I'm in my, university life here. I go to university to pursue whatever it is that I'm pursuing, and I really want to focus on my skills, especially English. I really want to enjoy every English language lesson that I can get, and I want to focus on practicing my English every day and every night. That's I want to focus on just learning and practicing English. That's all. I don't see why, like, getting a girlfriend or getting in a romantic relationship would be necessary for me to practice my English. I don't see why. But yeah, that's all I want. I want to just focus on my, on my learning process. I just want to focus on English. I just want to focus on the tenses. I want to perfect them. And, different sorts of grammar rules. That's what I said. But then she just didn't stop. She just wasn't satisfied. Like, as if it was a personal affront to her. She said in a very mean way, "Oh, you're just making excuses." Like that. Like, how could I don't know how the honest answer that I could ever give would be taken as an excuse. I don't know why. Like, really? Okay? But then I kept going. I focused on practicing and learning English. I didn't let that bother me, really. And I just wasn't interested in, pursuing anyone, or, getting into any romantic relationships. I just wanted to focus on learning and practicing English. Now, I'm genuinely sad in a way. I'm genuinely sad. Not because not because I regret something. No, I don't regret anything. I don't regret anything that I've done. But I'm sad. I'm genuinely sad right now because I've seen the same lady in question. All right. I've talked to her recently, right? And now she says in person and even on her social media accounts that she is single by choice. All right? She is now single by choice. When, in fact, everyone knows that she has 3 children, and she and the father of her children have literally gone their separate ways. That means they've, broken up after, like, maybe a decade of a romantic relationship. Okay. And that romantic relationship goes all the way back to 2013. You know, at the time when I just wanted to focus on learning English, practicing grammar and pronunciation, and everything that, you know, has to do with English. At the time, she was in a relationship with that man. You know, the father of her children. Okay, she was in a relationship with that man, but I never questioned it. I never did. I never thought that I was in any, like, you know, that I was, you know, I never thought that I knew any better than anyone else. All I knew was I wanted to practice English. I never questioned her relationship. I never questioned her decisions in life because I respected her. I respected her decisions. I always thought, well, that's her life. It's completely fine, right? She, you know, if that's her life, she knows better than I do. Yeah, but then she questioned my decisions, which was weird. So now, well, what now? Like, she's now saying she's single by choice. Now, you know, you know, we could say that that was a, like, you know, an isolated case. But while that, while it's true that happened, the problem is that she wasn't alone. Like, she wasn't the only one who would do that to me and many others. Like, at the time in 2013, if you were if you were single at that time, people would question why you were single, or why you wouldn't, like, pursue anyone or persuade anyone to be to get into a romantic relationship with you. It was so weird. Like, being single was seen as some kind of a, something to get rid of for whatever reason in 2013. And I was one of those few people who literally just focused on what we wanted to do. But then we were questioned. Our quote unquote singlehood was questioned. I don't know why. Right? Now, that things may have changed drastically since 2013. It's now 2026. But then I do think that some things have not changed. They never have, I think. For example, now, if you're not married, or if you don't want to get married for whatever reason, people find it questionable. People just find it questionable. Alright, sorry for the interruption. So, as I was saying, some things have never changed since 2013. Nowadays, if, at least in my experience, if you're single, if you don't want to get married, or you're not married, or you don't see yourself getting married, and people know it, people question it. It's weird. Like, it's as if there was like some kind of a universal moral law that everyone ought to get married. Like, it's as if not getting married or choosing to be single was some kind of a moral crime. if you will. I don't see why. I don't see why anyone should question why others do things and live their lives differently. I just don't. I don't see any justification for some people criticizing others for choosing to live in the way that they want, which causes no harm, really. Like, I don't see how being single would hurt anyone else. Literally, I just don't. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that getting into a romantic relationship or choosing to get married or being married is morally wrong. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is it's just weird, at least for me it's weird. It's just weird that others, again, question others who just choose to be single or are happy with the fact that they are single and don't want to get married, for that matter. Right? And I am not married, and I don't want to get married because I'm really happy with my being single. This status of mine, being single, allows me to just learn English, practice English, play video games, enjoy playing video games, especially Tekken and Virtua Fighter and 3D fighters in general, but mostly Tekken and Virtua Fighter. Old games, Virtua Fighter 3 and Tekken Tag, and Tekken 5 and Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection. So that's what I think. Again, you think for yourself, okay? Just because I've said these things doesn't mean that you shouldn't get married or you should stay single forever. That's not what I'm saying. You think for yourself, you live your life, and I wish you happiness, really. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening.